What we see here is a golfer who's too straight up and down, even for a short iron. If this is the line that the lead hip is on, we'd like the upper body to tilt a little this way, the lower body tilt a little this way. This is what we call the reverse K. And you can see that's a very straight up and down setup that he's got there. So let's see if he can at least move into that position as he goes to the top of his backswing. Oops, too fast. Let's slow it down a little bit. We've got a pretty decent takeaway. A little early wrist hinge, but that's okay. Turning. Now he's going to try to drive. Look how straight his lead arm is. Now he's going to try to drive into the shot, but his left hip never moves. That leaves him no choice but to scoop the ball like that. Notice how the left hand is breaking down and the right hand is going under the club. At the impact position, the hands should be all the way to that white line, and so should the center of the lower body. So there's been no lateral movement at all, and he doesn't really get any momentum going that way. We have a nice comfortable setup here. Looks relaxed. The arms are hanging freely down from the chin. Let's watch the backswing. Club goes back again too far, and that always happens when the right elbow comes straight back and the left arm turns to the outside. Again, we want the triangle that you set up at setup to move back on a straight line parallel to the target path. Now he's a little bit up on his knee. Now we'll see what happens on the way down. Can he see he's got the club too high, the club head too high. So when he's coming into the ball, instead of the club being parallel to the trail arm, it's going to be parallel to the lead arm. So it's coming in way too steep. Again, a chunky shot, not able to get right through it. Now here's great flexibility. We just got to get him to route the club from the top of the backswing. The club head should route itself down and then around behind like that. And he comes over the top of that. See how drastically that is over the top. Now here we have a good golfer at setup. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow the picture up so we can get a good view of her hands. And watch what happens just as she starts to take the club back. Here it comes. There it goes. Whoop. Right hand just snuck under the club and got herself out of position. So when she takes the club head back, it's dead shut. We need to make sure that we keep the grip the same through the entire swing. She is keeping the club outside the hands nicely. But when she comes back down to the ball now, because her hand's going to be in the wrong position, she's going to have a tough time to get that club back where it goes. The club is over closing, see that? So she's catching the ball off the toe, because that's what's getting there first. Actually, the toe of the club is hitting the ball there, and that's all because of that grip change. You can see a couple other things, like she stood straight up, which is also pulling the club away. But I think if we begin with the grip, keeping the grip steady throughout the entire swing, she's going to have a better swing. Okay, this golfer's standing a little bent over too much. What we'd like to see is about a 30-degree spine angle here. So let's go straight up here. There's 180. So 30 degrees less than that would be 150. That's where we'd like to see her spine angle. And she's way below that. If she stands up a little taller, she's going to be more comfortable. And it's going to make her easier to swing back on the plane. And we all know that the plane is the significant movement of the golf club. And the plane is set by the shaft. So right now her plane is very flat. And then she's going to take the club back even flatter than that. She gets kind of a stuck look right in here. Back down, see if she stays under the plane. See, she's over the top of the plane again, which makes it really hard to get right back down to the golf ball. Notice how far she's coming. She's hitting the ground fat, well on the inside of the ball. And that's because her posture doesn't allow her to make a good swing. We would like this golfer to have a little bit more spine tilt, a little bit more on this line, and also to try to get the hips kind of pointing down a little bit towards the ground. You can see that his hips are very, very flat. He's kind of squatting down on his butt here. The weight's probably back on his heels, and he's going to swing well above the swing plane. So let's see what happens here on the way down. It's okay there. He's raising way up. See how tall he's trying to get? And what that does is that creates an over-the-top swing where the club is coming down from the outside. Club's way outside the line, well open, whipped on through. Can't even get back down to the ball, misses it completely. We want to make sure that he stays where he is at setup. So it's setup, his head's right here in this little box, and he goes to the top of his backswing. He's forward, up, 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 and well out of that. And then he's forward of it too. Keep the spine steady, the head stays steady. Okay, looking at this swing from this setup, you can see that he's set up for a little bit of a pull or a cut. You can see that his lead arm is actually under his trail arm, and that the left knee, or his trail knee, is slightly forward, which means his chest is open and his hips are open to the target line. Let's go ahead and draw the swing plane in here. Watch the swing back. See how the hands are staying pretty nicely on the swing plane. Right there, just slightly above it here. Now let's see if he pulls the club down back to the swing plane. No, he comes over the top. This is where he's having the problem. He's getting the club parallel to the lead arm. Not so parallel. So what we got to get him to do is get down so he's swinging underneath the proverbial tabletop. There's the tabletop. He's got to swing under that. Instead, he's swinging over it. We really want the head to stay fairly steady. I don't really tell people to keep their head down, but I do want them to keep it quiet. So let's draw a pretty ample circle around our head. If we can stay in that circle, we'll be all right. But here you can see what happens. She drifts pretty far to the back of the circle, almost out of it, collapses her arms, and then she's going to slide down the circle and go way out in front again. That's going to make it very hard to hit a good shot. At the finish, we never want to see the head in front of the lead foot. We really want to see the right hip, right shoulder, right ear on that line, and the right knee. And you can see we haven't quite got that turned in. So she's leaning forward rather than shifting her weight forward from the bottom up. Here we see a good classical setup. I'm going to play this swing in slow motion. Even in slow motion, you can see that she chases the club back, the initial part, really quickly compared to the rest of the swing. And the other thing, has a tendency to spin out her trail foot. And I think what happens is because she jerks that club back really quickly to there, she shifts her weight to the outside of her right foot. And because she never quite finishes her backswing, she never gets a chance to really load up on the inside of the right foot and then push off. Now watch closely the heel. Instead of the heel coming straight up, how it spins out behind her and her toe, she's actually sliding behind her. That's not a good weight transfer. I would say that's the number one thing for her to work on changing. This golfer is going to play a natural style golf made famous by Mo Norman. In order to do that, we have to have the hip shifted that way and the head shifted that way a little bit. Get the head more over the back leg. And then if she gets in that position as she goes back, she won't be moving the head back, it'll already be back. And then from back here, she won't go that far back. She's going to move her hip that way aggressively. Notice it doesn't really go that way. And she ends up swinging around her hips. We want her hip by sliding along that line. And keep the head very still. Every once in a while you see a golf swing that works. An unorthodox golf swing that works, let's say. Jimmy Furyk, very unorthodox. Freddie Couples is unorthodox. Arnold Palmer was very unorthodox. Lee Trevino. And here we have another one that works because at the moment of truth, he's able to get his hands right into the slot right there. And notice that the club shaft is parallel to the trail arm as he drives through the shot. That's what we look for in a good golf swing.